I'm traveling along the world's longest river, the Nile, over 4,000 miles from sea to source. It's the most remarkable journey I've ever made.
Wow, it's so busy.
It started over a month ago in Egypt.
Look how wide it is. It's a huge river.
Since then, I've crossed the world's largest man-made lake.
I've seen Abu Simbel before. Phenomenal.
Come face to face with the Nile's most dangerous predator.
I'll leave my sandals on so the crocodile's got something to eat. Thank you.
Climbed the mountain of the gods in Sudan.
Yaman al-Barka, holy mountain.
And contemplated a simpler way of life. Twig House. Let's try that in London. But I still have 3 more countries to go. They're coming closer.
Augusto, go back.
All in my journey to reach the source of the Nile.
Here we are.
Oh my gosh! This is Sudan, Africa's largest country, and the halfway mark of this tremendous adventure. After a week in the desert, I'm looking forward to being back on the river. For the last 2,000 miles, I've traveled through Egypt and the deserts of northern Sudan. But there is still southern Sudan, Uganda, across Lake Victoria, and into Rwanda in order to reach my destination. But first Khartoum, where the Nile is joined by the Blue Nile, which flows down from the highlands of Ethiopia.
Absolutely thrilling. This is where the 2 great rivers meet. The Blue Nile, the White Nile. And you can just see the difference here. Almost like a line dividing the 2 rivers. And I've heard this, it's extraordinary. We all think of water mingling together. But here, and all in other parts of the world too, when rivers meet, they sometimes flow for as long as 10 miles together without mixing. You can see patches of it over there, where this rather browner Blue Nile is nearly mixing with the White Nile, which is coming from under those bridges. This is exactly where they meet. Yalla, Walid, yalla.
Khartoum's position on the confluence of these 2 rivers turned it into a rich trading center for slavery, gold, and ivory. In the 1800s, the French and British laid claim to Africa, but opposition to the British presence in Sudan led to a bloody siege of Khartoum by the country's fiercest warriors, the legendary Dervishes. Today, the Dervishes, or whirling dervishes, are peaceful worshippers who meet every Friday afternoon to pray to Allah. Dr. Salim Noor, a medical advisor to the UN, is a dervish himself and has kindly agreed to be my guide.
This is an event where people are coming to pray, but as well, you can see that there are people selling coffee, food, and other things.
So it's a sort of get-together.
Exactly. But also, there are a lot of people whom they come here to heal. If they have problems with their marriages, with their lives, with their parents, or it's an actually kind of treatment, therapy.
A therapy?
Yes.
Religious therapy?
Exactly.
Dervishes practice Sufism, an aspect of Islam in which men give up wealth and pleasure for God in order that they may reach paradise.
The whole thing about Sufi, the whole philosophy is about giving. It's either you are giving to the poor, food, support, money, or whatever, or you are giving people a good spirit to start a new life. Because the Sufis accept you any way you are. If you drink alcohol, if you don't pray, or whatever, you still can be a Sufi. That's why a lot of people became Sufis.
And so it's a completely peaceful, loving...
Exactly.
Thousands of dervishes took up arms in 1898 when Britain's General Kitchener sailed up the Nile to take the city for the British, resulting in a bloody battle that left 10,000 Sudanese dead. Incredibly, Kitchener's gunboat, the Melek, still survives today, beached on the banks of the Nile. I can't believe I'm standing on the very same deck where General Kitchener stood, giving orders to his men. One of them was a young cavalry officer, Winston Churchill, who was eventually to lead us to victory in the Second World War. The final battle, the Siege of Omdurman, took place here in what is today Sudan's largest market. I've been tipped off that while in Khartoum, I should hunt out Sudan's hidden secret.
Salam alaikum, ladies. It's lovely. This is chai stop. Rings, drums, shoes. Endless snake skins, poor old crocodile skin.
But what I'm looking for isn't here. Apparently it's found on the outskirts of the city, on a rather unusual road. This may look like a timber yard, but all these products are sold to Sudanese women to make them look beautiful and smell good for their men. We're not talking pedicures, manicures or facials here. This treatment, called a Duquan, requires women to sit over a small pile of burning wood.
It's a ceremony where women preparing to be brides are smoked. Little bits of wood, you select your wood, and you have some sort of oils or perfumes or things like that, and you sit on this, stark naked, you're butt naked. It's like being Joan of Arc going out to choose which wood to be burnt on in a fire. It's going to be such fun. It's going to be lovely. It's like sort of a spa treatment. Hey, I'm so lucky.
Given that this is such a secret, it's been difficult to find someone to show us how a Duquan works. But fortunately, local businesswoman Hanan Abbas has agreed to help.
Oh, nice to see you, Hanan. Thank you for this.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Oh, thank you, Hanan.
What we will do first, we will be choosing the best sort of wood that we will use for you.
I see. And do you know what type of wood it is?
I'm not sure what it is called in English, but it is shaf and talih, and it grows wild.
It grows wild?
Yeah.
We know the wood as acacia. Burning acacia for perfume has a long history. It's even mentioned in the Bible.
But this one, what he's choosing is actually good, and he's giving us one of the best pieces.
Shukran, thank you. Tamam.
Kattar khairak. This is actually what they cover you with. Your head goes here, and then you are covered with this one. So you are more like a tent inside it.
How lovely.
And this what will keep the whole smoke for the good of your body.
Prada, fabulous. It's great. Do I have to get a seat or have you got a seat?
No, we've got a seat.
Presumably you just choose your shape.
Yes.
Sometimes if you've got a square bottom, this is the square bottom type. I
Or
shan't
the one
be going...
that is more comfortable for you.
Yeah. How could this be comfortable for anybody?
I've no idea, honestly. You see, they always come up with new ideas of how to do this, how to make it more colorful, more comfortable and everything. But basically, at the end, it's
Just a stool with a hole in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
Good. I have a feeling this one's not going to catch on, the square one.
Brides-to-be have a Duquan before their wedding day and then regularly during their married life.
Assalamu alaikum.
It's associated with sensuality and eroticism, as well as cleansing and smoothing a woman's skin.
Brides do this, what, once a week or
For brides before the wedding,
Yes.
they do it daily.
every day?
Every day they do it. And this is part of preparing the wife for the wedding. Actually, in here, what we do is that what we call lock the bride for a month at home. And she's not allowed to see her groom.
For a
at all.
month?
For a month. They can only talk over the phone.
Yes.
If the family is sort of modern.
Yes.
You see, but otherwise, no. And she, during this time, they prepare her for her husband, for her big day.
Yes. And what does the bridegroom do?
I don't think he does much. Maybe he shaves.
He just looks in the
No,
mirror and
has
just goes,
a
yeah, that's quite
haircut.
nice like that.
Or
Shave.
maybe his
That's
friends will
okay.
take him for a sauna or something as a treat. So, no, he doesn't do a lot.
So she's prepared herself absolutely wonderfully.
Yes. Oh, yes. And there is something I have to tell you about Duquan
Yeah.
that you will not hear a lot.
Yeah.
It makes actually women a bit narrow. That's very naughty of me to say. I think we should.
Essential that you've told me this. So I should be slim, bronzed, fitter.
Every time you do
Very
it,
good, small. Until you gradually begin to implode. You just oh, holy moly. Bring it on.
As Hanan isn't married, she's never even had a Duquan. So she's brought me to her friend's house.
Hello, Sarah. I'm Joanna. Salam alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Sarah Abbo is married and has a Duquan once a week.
I must tell you, Sarah, she's very excited about it.
Yes.
Are you ready for it?
Yes, I hope so. I hope so.
So, to make a Duquan. First, bury a pot in the backyard and surround with an attractive rush mat. Then place 2 pieces of acacia wood into the pot. And light with smouldering charcoal. Finally, place comfortable but slightly bristly seat over the smoking wood.
Come on, Joanna. Are you ready? Oh, you look lovely.
This is the award ceremony dress when you're not going to get a prize. You don't put out your hands. You just go along looking nice at the top. Shall I sit down now?
Yes, you can sit.
But you have to pull it up, yeah.
A bit whiskery.
Then we have to put some oil for you in your feet. For us, wedding is a very special occasion. Sometimes life is a little bit dry in the Sudan. So wedding is a very exciting season for everybody. And we just assume yourself that today is your wedding. Sorry.
In fact, tomorrow is my wedding anniversary, so it's quite appropriate. I don't have a husband here, but I can dream.
The finishing touch, a sandalwood burner. Sandalwood is thought to have relaxing, aphrodisiac qualities.
I wish you could smell this through the lens. It's absolutely beautiful.
This isn't just a beauty treatment. Many women have a Duquan a month after childbirth to heal the skin and relax their bodies.
Well, I can't tell you how gorgeous I feel. I smell divine. Absolutely bewitched by this sweet, scented kind of slightly woody, sandalwoody, but scented with other things. And I wish you could see how gorgeous I look underneath all this. If I lived in this country, because I'm a married woman, I would do that at least every week. I might become a bit obsessive. I might do it every day. I would smell lovely forever.
Every year, Khartoum is witness to one of Africa's most extraordinary natural events. For 3 months, the Blue Nile floods, swamping Khartoum and a huge length of the Nile all the way to the Aswan Dam in Egypt. I know all this water comes from somewhere else, so we're leaving Sudan and chartering a plane to travel up the Blue Nile Gorge to Lake Tana, Ethiopia.
Tell me, Captain, is that the Blue Nile down there?
Down there, yeah.
How incredible.
This is one of Africa's largest canyons, a 250-mile-long gorge.
Absolutely thrilling. We are now flying over the deep, deep gorges, and at the bottom of it, the Blue Nile. I've got to say, it doesn't look blue at all. It looks the kind of colour of vanilla fudge or something. These hills are just, I can't explain it. It's like some twigs with some goat skin thrown over them. Absolutely amazing and completely empty. There seem to be no villages, no people, no roads, nothing. Just mile after mile of rocky, hilly landscape. The bottom of it, this amazing river.
This gorge has been hewn by the colossal amount of water that thunders through here during the flood. Then the water turns a dark blue, giving the river its name, the Blue Nile.
It really is a big river, and the river's fast in some areas and waterfalls. There's no way you can really plan to travel a long distance.
From this height, it's difficult to see, but treacherous rapids make travelling on the river extremely dangerous. In fact, so wild is the water that the first descent of the Blue Nile was only accomplished as recently as 1968. At the top of the gorge is Ethiopia's largest lake. "60 rivers pour down the mountainsides into Lake Tana. The ancient Egyptians came here, intent on discovering the source of the flood which gave life every year to their barren deserts. Nestled on the side of the lake is the town of Bahadar. The ancient Greeks claim to have named Ethiopia, which in their language meant of burnt face. However, I much prefer the local legend that says Ethiopia was named after Noah's great-grandson, Ethiopis. The country is full of surprises. Its culture is one of Africa's oldest and most diverse, with influences from the ancient Egyptians and Arabia. It has its own alphabet and language called Amharic, spoken nowhere else. And it even has its own calendar, putting it 7 years behind the rest of the Western world. Their culinary treat is a sort of pancake. Known as injera, this is Ethiopia's national dish.
The only thing about these injera pancakes is that they have a sort of look of tripe about them, which can put you off, particularly when they come rolled up like wet flannels, like something you'd sort of cleaned the floor with and hadn't wrung out. You don't eat them hot like we eat pancakes hot. You let them cool down. Again, something which our palate might go, what a shame, I'd have loved it hot with maybe some thick cream and honey. But no.
You can eat injera with pickles and spices, or in my case, I've gone for potato stew.
Thank you. Amaseganalo. Thank you in Amharic is amaseganalo, and it's a really hard word to remember, and we keep forgetting it. And this is what you do. You tear off a little piece like this, like that. You can sort of almost see through it. Absolutely beautiful. And then you pick up a piece of this lovely potato, like that. Put it in your mouth, trying to look a bit nicer than that.
Injera has a sour, nutty taste, but actually it melts in the mouth.
It does look a bit like tripe, sort of smooth on one side, but that very sort of aerated holy bit on this side. It's actually delicious.
Is it?
Of course, you can't have injera without trying the local brew, tej. Unlike northern Sudan, alcohol isn't banned here. That said, there aren't pubs on every corner, but there are drinking dens called tej houses, hidden, out-of-the-way places known only to the locals.
After 2 weeks of not drinking at all in Sudan, I thought it might be, just a night to sort of break the fast, and I was told to come here. I can hear chatting here, probably in the snug bar. Hello, salam. Salam. Salam, gentlemen. Salam. Salam. Well, this is absolutely lovely. And I understand that tej is made from honey and herbs and roots from a tree called the sado tree. But I don't want to read anything into that. It's going to be absolutely lovely. Thank you. I see I get my own little flagon of it, which looks lovely.
Thank you.
So, just a sip. Gosh, it's delicious. It's at once rather sour and rather sweet, and rather potent. The chicken's just come in to join us. Hello, little one. You come for some tej, have you?
Drink of tej.
So do you touch our tej? In strength, is it as strong as whiskey or brandy or no?
Whiskey and brandy is stronger.
It's stronger.
Local drink.
Is tej sold in the markets? Do you sell it?
No.
So it's only
It's
drunk in...
sold only here, but some people will take like this home, especially youngsters.
Youngsters? Do they drink tej?
University
Not alone.
students.
University students. Well, they're well known for drinking. This is awfully good. It's awfully good. Thank you. Cheers, gentlemen. Cheers.
Yes.
Cheers to Ethiopia, to the Nile.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Ethiopia.
This is Lake Tana, Ethiopia, what the ancient Egyptians and Greeks believed to be the source of the Blue Nile. My boat is taking me to the Zege Peninsula, a large jut of land that shares a remarkable connection with England.
They've been having a church service which has been going on all night long, celebrating St. George, because St. George is a patron saint over here, as well as being patron saint of England. I mean, they sometimes represent him doing sort of saintly things, but mostly they have him on his white horse, slaying a dragon.
Today, about half of all Ethiopians follow Christianity, a religion that's been here for 1700 years.
Okay, this is a bit of a jetty. We're going to complete this later, obviously, when I've just patched it out just to show you roughly how the drive's going to be.
There are more than 20 monasteries on islands in Lake Tana. Most were built in the Middle Ages, but remained hidden from the outside world until the 1930s. Women are banned from many of them in case they prove a temptation to the celibate monks.
Salam.
Fortunately, here, at one of the most beautiful monasteries on the lake, we are allowed. Greeting me is the youngest deacon I've ever met.
Deacon.
Deacon Anakulu is just 20.
Deacon Anakulu.
Hello, Joanna.
Oh, nice to see you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much for meeting
Welcome
me.
to here.
Thank you.
This is Seke, called Peter Georgis.
Yes.
So it's a church and a monastery.
Yeah.
So this church is a 14th century
14th
church.
century.
Yes, the first one
Yes.
in this peninsula, and the oldest one.
He's the patron saint of
Ethiopia.
Ethiopia.
And also me.
And you.
Yes. The biggest miracles are killing the dragons.
Killing the dragon.
Killing the dragons.
Yes.
St. George was a Roman priest beheaded for his Christian faith. His is just one of the many extraordinary murals in this church. Against this backdrop, the monks have been fasting for a day and a night. It's a ceremony that takes place every month to honor their saint. St. George is not just the patron saint of Ethiopia and England. So admired is his martyrdom that countries as far away as Portugal and Russia also honour him.
Well, that was lovely. And being English and wanting to celebrate the bond between Ethiopia and England and our shared patron saint, St. George, I just did, well, it's just the regular thing to do. Celebrate him in St. George's beer. I'm quite good at drinking beer on boats. Go.
The Blue Nile most certainly flows out from Lake Tana, but the official source of the Blue Nile is at a small spring to the southwest of the lake. So sacred are the waters at the source that they're said to have healing properties. In the same way that pilgrims go to Lourdes, Ethiopians travel hundreds of miles to this spot.
Welcome to Gish Abbey Church, the source of Blue Nile. So I've arrived here. They've drawn a mountain. We're not exactly on a mountain, but we're in a sort of alpine pasture. It says the treatment of the majority, which could be me, and I think they do exorcisms here too. Now, it's a tradition here to buy a water container and to go down and to get a little bit of Nile water and to be blessed. And so I'm going to buy one of these water containers. Hello? Hello? Can I have one of these?
Yes, you can buy.
I can buy.
Yes.
May I have a blue one?
Yes.
Yes? Is this the church down there?
That's possible.
Yeah. And when I go, I take my can?
Yes.
If you wanted to fetch a holy water from the church,
Yeah.
I can help you and bring it. If you want that.
Well, I do want that. Will you come with me? Thank you. Do many people come here to be blessed?
Yes, they believe this is the holy water. When so many Ethiopian people that come here, they become treatment food.
Yes. So you do believe it has healing properties. Do you believe that?
Yes, I believe that.
Do you? Have you seen people getting better?
Yes, since I am Christian,
yes,
I will believe that's the holy water.
Right, I see.
My new friend introduces me to the priest, Father Biranu. Hello, Father. He first came here because he had malaria and wanted to be cured by the waters.
እዚያውን ፈለገ ግዮን መጥተው የሚፈወሱት በሽታዎች በዓለም ያሉት በሙሉ ከጥቃቅን ከጉንፋን ጀምሮ ከጥቃቅን በሽታዎች እስከ ትልቁ እስከ ኤችአይቪ ወሪያ የቴ በሴደ ካካመጣ ጉሩ አይኑ የታጎረውን ያበራል ጎባጣ ጀርባውን የጎበጠው እንዲያለው ተቃንቶ እንዲሄድ እግሩ እዚህ የሰለለውን እግሩ ልምሻ ወይም ፖሊዮ ዱላ ለቆ ወይም ምርኳዙን ለቆ ተነስቶ የሚሄድበት ነገር ነው ያለ እዚህ ታላቅ ቦታ ነው።
Father Biranu takes me down to the source.
Is this the holy water down here?
I'm told that here the Blue Nile bubbles up through a spring. Surprisingly though, when we get there, it's hidden from view in a tin shed.
So I can sort of hear water, so it's there. There's a little small stream down there.
We're not allowed inside. There are pilgrims who strip naked to cleanse themselves in the Nile water. So a man kindly offers to fill my container for me.
You say Ab.
Ab. World. መንፈስ ቅዱስ አመናለሁ።
Then, as well as giving a blessing, Father Biranu unexpectedly decides to baptize me.
ጸጋዬ ሲል ከተሉሽ ማይኪ በረከት ካንቺ ጋር ይሁን። ኃይለ እግዚአብሔር አይለይሽ። የአብ የወልድ የመንፈስ ቅዱስ በረከት በላይሽ ላይ መንፈስ እግዚአብሔር ይደርብሽ። የተጠመቅሽ በመሆንሽ ወለተ ጻድቅ እንድትባይ ሰይመንሻል።
Welete Tsarek means child of the righteous.
ስለተጠመቀች አንድ ዘልል በሉላት እስቲ።
Well, that was absolutely lovely.
Thank you.
I would like Father to write my name, the child of the righteous. Will you write that for me in Amharic so I can translate it into English?
በአማርኛ ስሜን
Amasignalu. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's me. And actually I can use that in London for any sort of, if I'm arrested for any misdemeanors, I just flash them. That fabulous yellow card. I say, source the Nile, buddy. I'm through. I wonder if... Oh no, they're standing in the Nile down there. I think I can stand in the Nile, I think, don't you? So here we are. Blue Nile. It's just so extraordinary. Just a little humble stream. Could be in Surrey. It starts off so tranquilly, doesn't it?
Once a year, the Blue Nile floods, swamping everything downstream as far as Egypt. The water comes from high up in the Simeon Mountains, and that's where I shall go next, once we've been through the car wash, Ethiopian style.
What have you got the Nile on your doorstep, you might as well use it, don't you think? Okay, do I shut my windows?
Definitely.
I am getting a wash here from the Blue Nile. It's refreshing. I was a bit hot anyway.
You're using
Soap, sponge.
Soap, yeah.
Yeah. That's very nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. Because the water is clean.
Yeah. Do you usually stay in the car or do you get out? No, you have to stay in.
I will stay in the car
Yeah.
because I have to drive it out.
Of course you do.
And then, otherwise,
Otherwise, we just run backwards in the river.
Backward,
Goodbye. Quite hot in this car, isn't it?
sorry.
Hot.
Yeah, it's hot, yeah.
This is very good for us.
Steam.
Steam. Steam bath.
Yeah, steam.
I love Ethiopia. Okay, let's go. God, what a clean car and a wet seat. That's heaven.
Leaving Bahadar, we've a day's drive ahead of us to get to the Simien Mountains. Simeon means north in Amharic. The Greek philosopher Homer believed these mountains to be the playground of the gods, who would come here and play chess on their days off. High hills breed hardy people, and in this country, girls are as tough as boys.
I've heard so much about them. These are the Simeon girl runners. And they just train here on these mountain roads before school. All of them have to go to school still. Most of them are farmers' daughters, country girls. And they just spend all their time training. It's unbelievable. They haven't got brilliant footwear. They haven't got the correct garb. But they are just brilliant. I believe their team is called Girls Gotta Run.
In the last 10 years, Ethiopia has dominated the medals board in long and medium distance running events. Their most famous athlete is Haile Gebrselassie. Considered one of the greatest runners of all time, he's broken most long distance world records and won 2 Olympic golds. These girls, aged just 14 to 16, are some of Ethiopia's next Olympic hopefuls. They train every other day under the careful tuition of ex-national athlete Melaku Tadios.
በከፍተኛ ሎዱ በጣም ከባድ በሆነ አየር ከባድ በሆነበት ትሬኒንግ በሚሰሩበት ሰዓት ከዚህ ሰርተው ወደ አዲስ አበባ ባህር ዳር ሄደው በሚወዳደሩበት ሰዓት አሸናፊ ይሆናሉ። ከዛ ያለው አየር ቀለል ያለ ነው። ለንደን ቢሄዱ ዝቅተኛ ቦታ ላይ በጣም ቆንጆ ነው። በጣም ነው የሚያሸንፉ። ሴቶቹ ይቀላል። ትሬኒንግ በሚሰጥበት ሰዓት ልጆቹ በደንብ ኤክሰርሳይሱን ይሰሩታል እና ከወንድ ይልቅ ሴቶች ልጆቹ አሸናፊ ይሆናሉ።
Most of the girls live in or near the mountain town of Debark, fitting school around their training. This is a poor market town where people struggle to make ends meet. Despite the lush landscape, fruit and vegetables here are in scarce supply. So the girls are fortunate that a local hotel provides them with 1 square meal a day, full of carbohydrates, to give them energy. They may be adequately fed, but many of the girls still don't have proper running gear.
Can someone on the table show me a bad shoe? So has anyone here won a medal? You have?
Yeah.
Can I see? This is lovely. Where is this from?
Barda.
Bada?
Barda.
Barda?
Yeah.
And this one? Oh, 2. Good girl. Wonderful. All you girls look to me like very good runners, but who is the quickest runner? Anyone here?
Yeah.
Be brave, tell me. You? Do you have a dream as a sportswoman?
ወደፊት ምን የመሆን ህልም ራዕይ ነው ያለሽ?
Athlete. Where would you like to compete?
Out of my country.
In Africa?
In Olympic Games.
In the Olympic Games? Yeah. Do you think you will win a medal?
እዛ ሄዳችሁ የምታሸንፉ ይመስላችኋል?
Yes.
Perfect. I think you will. I would like to see Simian girl runners. Gold medal. Will you do that?
Yes.
Yes. Now you are all my daughters.
ሁላችሁም የኔ ልጆች ናችሁ አሁን።
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You are my mom.
I'm your mum. And I shall keep you when I go back to the UK. I shall remember you with love in my heart. Is she? Is she?
Before leaving Ethiopia, I travel higher up into the Simien Mountains. Four-fifths of the mountain ranges in Africa are in Ethiopia. The Simeon Mountains are home to these beautiful baboons. The Gelada baboons are found here and nowhere else in the world.
Most extraordinary country I've ever been to. Nowhere gives any clue of what it's like. I've been to Eritrea before in the north, I've been to Sudan in the west, I've been to Kenya in the south, and I've sailed up and down the Red Sea, and none of them gives the faintest inkling of what happens here in Ethiopia. It is absolutely staggering, filled with Alps and meadows and jagged mountains. It looks as though they've been made by children and just glued in.
These are some of Africa's tallest mountains, over 2 miles high. It might not look like it in this beautiful evening sunshine, but when it rains on these mountains, the water goes dashing down in streams and rivulets into much larger rivers, which feed into the Blue Nile.
This is the engine room of the Nile. This is where the great flood is propelled from. It's staggering to stand here. It goes for miles and miles and miles. Astonishing place. And I've got to leave Ethiopia now. It pretty much breaks my heart.
I must push on to the final stage of my journey that will take me into Uganda, then Rwanda, and the source of the Nile itself.